All right, algorithms, tonight, I need y'all to sit up and listen because we're entering a courtroom where the evidence isn't always admissible, but guess what? The truth always hit. This isn't a court of the law. This is the court of public opinion. And baby, we sentence with side eye. We deliberate with group chats, and we judge with the truth the industry tries to hide. We're diving headfirst into 5 explosive stories tonight where the rap game meets RICO charges, a billionaire inserts himself into family battles, and the music mogul once praised for parties is now being accused of unimaginable things. And y'all, we're not just watching. Guess what? We're witnessing. Because let's keep it real. In this celebrity culture, do we protect talent too much or the rich and famous? Are we accusing crimes for clout? And at what point does fame stop being a shield and start becoming the weapon? Welcome to Celebrity Court, where justice isn't just served, it's streamed. Court is now in session. Before we get started, though, let's introduce our legal beagles that are joining us tonight. First up, we have humorist in law, Sean Carter. Sean Carter, welcome back to Celebrity Court.
Glad to be back, Your Honor.
All right, thank you very much. Joining humorist in law, Counselor Carter, will be that fiery civil attorney, Shatan Turner. Shatan Turner, come on up here. Welcome back to Celebrity Court.
Hey, Your Honor. Hey, Attorney Carter. Glad to be back.
All right, and one last but not least legal beagle that beagled away from us, but he's back tonight, is that criminal defense attorney, Brian Ross. Yes, one of the original legal beagles. Welcome back to Celebrity Court.
I'm sorry. Donald Trump deported me back to Mexico. I just made my way back across the border.
You stay in the streets, sir, and in other countries. Welcome back, and we're glad to have you here tonight. All right, algoritms, please be sure to hit that like button for us tonight. Also, be sure to hit the subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, be sure to hit that share button and invite some friends over to learn about the law as well as unpack these cases of these celebrities doing crazy things. Don't forget to turn on your notifications. And last but not least, jump down in that chat. All right, we got a full docket tonight. First up, Lil Baby. Oh, man, yes, you heard me correctly. Lil Baby, a Grammy-winning artist and hometown hero, may now be the next casualty in Georgia's growing list of rappers under RICO investigation. The gang unit is eyeing his crew as well, called 4PF, for suspected criminal affiliation. Now, no charges have been charged yet, but the streets and the internet are already buzzing. All right, Attorney Sean Carter, I'm going to go to you first. Now, we're going to talk about this is the intersection of Georgia's RICO laws and how ruthless they become, intersecting with social media, music lyrics, and now even tattoos that have been used for evidence. Take it away, Attorney Carter, and tell us what's going on here with Lil Baby. But first, let's look at this video that we have from our bailiff.
What's going on? Man, them folks, like, come on, bro, you know what's finna go on. Like, how the hell you can, you know what I'm saying?
They ain't even like that, man. Them folks got tickets on a lot of these folks, I'm telling you.
We just heard somebody say these folks got tickets on these people. We know what's going on. First of all, who was that said that about the tickets?
Unc, the unidentified male that was being referred to as Unc.
And he's speaking with Mr. Sanders?
Correct.
And what, in your experience, do you know what tickets are?
A price on somebody's head.
What do you mean by what do you mean on somebody's head? What is that?
Like a bounty.
Okay. To have them arrested?
Harmed or killed.
And who were they referring to in that portion of the call?
They were saying that they had heard that Dominique Jones had tickets on a lot of people's heads.
Dominique Jones had wanted to have people harmed.
Correct.
All right, moving on.
That's pretty significant. Am I the only one when I see a whole bunch of young black men around a table like that, I get depressed when I think about the judicial system and just the crimes that they're committing? Attorney Carter, take it away.
All right. So the first thing there is, and let's just set it up a little bit. So this is investigation has been initiated by the head of Georgia's public defender's gang unit. And they've been fighting. This is a beef that's been going back about 10 months ago. In May of 2024, Lil Baby decided to shoot a music video in the wrong hood. in OMF's hood. That's a rival gang. And they got so upset about it, they start showing up. Lil Baby's people start showing up. It culminates in 2 months later, two 13-year-old boys being ambushed right outside their apartment. And so Georgia's like, look, we got to do something because they're going to kill everybody in here. All right, if we don't stop them. They bring him in for this hearing. Now, the interesting about it is, for Lil Baby's defense, the good thing is he should plead mush mouth.
What the hell is mush mouth?
Did you hear that video?
Oh,
You can't understand a goddamn word out coming out of Lil Baby. I don't know he a rapper, and you can't understand a
I
damn
thought
word.
mush mouth was a legal term.
No, even deeper. All you gotta do is say, look, I didn't say what she said, I said. Look at that video. You can't tell what the hell I said. And you like it sound like Charlie Brown, teacher, right? And so he's definitely got that going for him. But they're going to definitely try to really, really bring these charges. And Attorney Ross thinks can explain this better. But this is not the first, right? We had Young Thug and Gunna as part of their crew, and now they're going after this crew. And by the way, I'm not calling these people. By the way, anybody, I'm not calling a 30-year-old grown man Lil Baby. All right, that's Dominic. All right, you got them. Get a grown man name. All right, Stevie Wonder was Lil Stevie Wonder, but he's 72 now. He ain't running around talking about I'm still Lil Stevie Wonder.
I ain't gonna call no grown man delicious.
There you go. Exactly. Right?
What if he wear the street? I'm like, delicious.
Lil Baby, you're a grown ass man, Dominic. All right, you run around giving mush mouth orders, so you should have a grown man name.
What you call him? A fake Vladimir Putin.
All right, Sean, Brian, tell us what does the RICO, once again, explain to us what RICO means.
Okay, so in Georgia, like many other states and the federal government, you have a criminal system, very basic. If you commit crimes in a certain way, right, meaning you are the ringleader of the crime, you are saying, hey, take the drugs over to this address, pick up the money, and on your way back, shoot this person. You are a racket. You are racketeering. You are participating in more than one crime at a senior level. Diddy's being charged with a RICO, a racketeering statute, where he allegedly organized people in a human sex slave trade kind of thing. He racketeered it. So that's what they're saying. Lil Baby has been doing. He's been engineering all these things, and they're saying he's famous for all the wrong reasons. Let me tell you, he's in a very tough spot. I mean, Lil Baby, he's a very tough spot. I mean, if it's one thing the articles don't say though, Judge, is exactly what the racketeering was. Yes, they allege murder, but they don't say in a racketeering way he orchestrated drug crimes. In a racketeering way, he orchestrated murder. It is kind of tie these two murders to him, and they say what they've learned may be racketeering. So the articles are kind of fresh. We'll have to follow it, but when they hit you with racketeering, man, you got a big problem.
Okay, let me ask all the attorneys real quick. If the only thing tying him to the crime is a lyric in a group chat or a voicemail, is that enough to put him down?
No, that's not enough, because he can always say, look, that's part and parcel of my act. What I say, I don't live this way. I'm an actor. I get paid to write music that people want to hear, and sometimes people take it too seriously, but that isn't who I am. I didn't mean anything. Problem is, when you're if that was that his voice on that recording?
Yes.
That's what they said. That's what the prosecutor said, and it was a conversation.
Come on, bro, you know what's gonna go on. Like, how the hell you can? You know what I'm saying?
Ain't even that.
You know what I'm saying?
Folk got tickets on a lot of these folk. I'm telling you.
We just heard.
He could plead, in addition to mushmouth, the I was super high defense, because I'm not entirely sure how someone who was sober would sound like that. So that's one thing that he could say. We were just joking. You know what I mean? Like, what was that thing from Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker, when he was like, I was just bullshitting, right? Like, that's what Lil Baby need to say. Like, I wasn't serious. I was high. We were joking around. I said I put tickets on people. I was just talking about going to the dry cleaners.
Okay, so let me ask you this. That sounds great, but let me ask you this. It appears to me that there's there's a large amount of targeting of these young black rappers.
Young Thug is saying that. and he's saying that woman in particular is targeting them, but I think they're just out there being blatantly stupid and getting caught.
Okay, so we don't think that this is targeting of any sorts to our Black entertainers.
Now, he got caught and involved in this because somebody was on Facebook Live, I think, and happened to be in the parking lot talking about this. So like, yeah, like it wasn't, that's how this all got started. There was some other person who was uninvolved who was trying to get their 15 minutes, like, hey, I'm here. Lil Baby is doing this video. And so that kind of set in motion the inquiry. So, I mean, he just got some bad luck.
All right, Attorney Ross, since you're the criminal attorney here, tell me what type of jail time is he looking at if convicted?
At a minimum of 10 years. A minimum of 10 years. And that's like his lawyer did a really great job. He had Johnny Cochran. Like he got a really number. That number can be 30 years. You're talking about double murder. So if they tie you to that and they do it the right way and they find that it's even premeditated, you could be looking at way more than that. That's harder to do. But he's looking at a lot of time. I'm telling you, he's got a problem. Like he's got a problem. And the real thing about it is, I'm going to agree with the court though. They do target these kids, man. They do target these kids. I'm not saying he's innocent, but okay, the recording is terrible. The recording is terrible. The recording is terrible. I mean, you can't. It's beautiful. There was a running back named Jamal Lewis who played for the Baltimore Ravens. Do you remember him? He was really at the time of NFL. He was the peak, wasn't he? And he was playing for the Ravens.
Hey, Lewis.
Jamal Lewis. Jamal Lewis was a running back, played for the
running.
Ray Lewis was a
linebacker.
Linebacker.
Right.
He also
Right.
got in trouble though, Attorney Carter. So maybe Lewis is just getting.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. Right.
And look, it all happened in Atlanta too, which is even like more mysterious.
All kinds of trouble happens in Atlanta, though.
Atlanta, Miami. And he was on the phone talking about selling drugs, and they said, "And you can tax it." He said, "Oh yeah, I can tax it," meaning I get a piece of what I distribute. And they use that statement to indict him. He went to jail for 5 years.
Oh wow! Did it end his career?
Yeah, that was in his career. It was over. He never came back from that. And you can tax it. He came back and played or something. It wasn't the same. So the point is, those little snippets can really hurt you. Look up Jamal Lewis. You'll see it.
Jamal Lewis. Okay, so Abby NYC, the MM family, see, they should make them take proper speaking classes in jail.
Much mouth.
Y'all are so bad. Lee Y Coyote says at Ross, considering me are 8% of the population, the math ain't mathin'. SL said Rico dogs drank. Oh, I don't know what the hell. All right, everybody. Speaking of slurring, Karlie Redd. Yep, Karlie Redd's husband is divorcing her. Get out. But he has to cut her a check for what? $18,000. The court cited income imbalance, but the streets are saying, was this financial finesse or fair justice? All right, I'm going to go to you, Shaitan, as our resident divorcee. Spousal support isn't about who files. It's about financial stability, right?
Yeah, it is. It's about the inequity. One quick thing, though, I was going to say, I didn't realize that she was in her 50s. You got to give her 2 shout outs. One, she's getting his money. And second, she looks good. But yeah.
He's in his 30s, right?
I'm not sure how old he is. Is he in his 30s? She was born in 73. But we should find out how old he is. But yeah, she doesn't look like she's considerably older than him. That's probably how she pulled him. So here's the thing. She's getting temporary alimony. And I know more than I wish I knew about that topic. And so in the initial assessment, right, they do an accounting just to determine the salaries or the income of both of the spouses. Often it's based on tax returns as opposed to your paycheck. And so hypothetically speaking, if you get paid a big bonus at one time during the year, and by the time they file for said temporary alimony, you've either spent it partying and buying new clothes to soothe your soul since you broke up, or you put it in your 401k, then you might be assessed a really high amount of temporary alimony. because your income appears to be inflated because it's not actually annualized. Or they annualize it in a way that's not fair. The other thing that happens to people is if you're an entrepreneur, right, and you had, usually they do 2 to 3 year look back, and you had some great years, but the year that you actually are assessed the amount of your temporary alimony, things aren't going that well, then that can also be difficult and it can become a hardship. But in this case, they had a considerable income disparity as far as the court was concerned, resulting in her getting $18,000 a month. And this type of alimony is designed to help the lower earner spouse to be able to afford the litigation. It has nothing to do with who's right and who's wrong. So she actually didn't have to do a whole lot to get that money. All she had to do was file, and somebody had a calculator and determine this amount. Now, certain things can be done to lessen it even before the divorce is finalized. So the temporary alimony is in existence until the divorce itself is final. Now,
even though she makes great money, she's been on
great money, Judge.
But not compared to him. So there are some cases, and hypothetically speaking, somebody in Pennsylvania might be intending to use such cases, because there have been people who've successfully shown that the amount of money that's being paid is actually not designed for the cost of litigation. Like, who's paying their lawyer $18,000 a month? I need to quit my job where I work and go do that kind of law, because $18,000 a month is an incredible amount of money. And so there's some courts that are like, look, I don't know how the formula paid out, but we need to reduce this because it's unfair and it's not consistent with the statute intended. New York, actually, if you're a higher earner spouse, it's probably rich men like perhaps the one living in the White House right now, who had his own share of divorces, were successful in getting them to put a cap. So New York has a cap on it, and it's not just the disparity, it's the disparity, but then it's like you can only get so much because lawyers just don't cost that much. But in this case, good for her, because
why? He makes great money.
Allegedly, he beat her, and that's how we got here. Yes, allegedly, he hit her and broke her 2 phones, and that's why they're getting divorced so quickly. This was a whirlwind romance, and it started last year when she said she was engaged. I think they got married in like September, and the reason she wants to leave him, and she has a restraining order against him, is because she said that he hit her. So
now he's 36. Allegedly
about domestic violence, I'm like, get all his money.
Well, let me explain. Help me out here, because this is what I don't get. You guys keep saying she makes great money. Apparently, she doesn't make as much as he does. I took a look at this. In 2018, she was making $50,000 a season, not an episode, a season. She on the wrong Housewives. Right? She need to be on Housewives of Atlanta, not loving.
No, she's been there. She's been there. Algorithm tell me out that she's been there since
a long time.
She should be she probably misunderstood that she should be making $50,000 for every time that she is in an episode.
Maybe that's the case, but then he must be making a hell of a lot of money, because
I'm confused. Right, I'm confused at what his money is.
Making that money.
He's got his money from Now That. He gets his money from Now That's TV. He's the CEO of Now That's TV.
Right,
net worth is $100 to $150 million.
Okay,
that's a lot of money. Who knew that network? What's on that network?
Long money. But here's the thing that people need to recognize.
Still ain't worth it.
That might be making people in Pennsylvania who are the higher earner spouse and don't like the formula either, right? Because if he's worth $100 million and he's only paying $18,000,
well, the network is. I don't know if he's a sole. The network.
Well, but he's worth millions, right? There are people in Pennsylvania who are making just 6 figures, who are paying out $6,000 a month. And so the issue with this formula is it started out with one intent, and it doesn't really reflect, in my opinion, how life is being lived now. And it also doesn't factor in at all in a estimate of how much it costs to pay the lawyers every month. Because if the goal is to help people pay for the lawyers, then, you know, she should not get that much money.
Colette Davis says, what does he do for a living? He is the CEO of a television network called What's That? Now That's TV Network. Now That's TV Network.
And by the way, anybody subscribe to that network? Because I got my own TV network too, Carter TV, but that don't mean I got money. All right, everybody can get your own TV network, but I ain't never seen nothing. What's he got on there? I know he ain't got Love and Hip Hop Atlanta on there. I know that. Nothing. So what the heck?
So let me ask all the lawyers this: if someone files for divorce, should they ever? Okay, no, that's not the question.
Should it be unfair?
Yeah, no, my question is, like, when you're filing for a divorce, if she doesn't really need the support, what's the argument for giving her so much money? That's what I'm looking for.
It's to pay for the litigation. It's to recognize that the litigation is a hardship, and
you could just leave.
Spouse could drag it out, right? And so it's designed to give the other spouse resources during this
temporary. All
yes,
right, but I'm talking about just
temporary alimony. And so it's I think New York has it right though. There should be a cap, right? They should do the formula and then they should have a cap. And so then the cap is designed to make sure that it has a rational basis. Spousal support.
Like I have a horrible lawyer.
I feel like it's all skewed toward the woman. Like I see these stories. I see what my friends who are lawyers go through.
Mr. Ross.
Yeah, like, and it's just I'm just telling you, we all know, any dude knows that the woman's gonna get. How you gonna come in court with an Hermes Birkin bag and tell me I need to pay for your lawyer? The lifestyle you're living, sell the bag, pay for your own lawyer.
If you bought me the bag, then I should be entitled to it. But the thing is,
give it back.
For this purpose, I really think if the goal is to help people afford the litigation, then it should have a rational basis. Now, you're talking about a different thing when they're talking about the lifestyle to which I became accustomed. So I do have to say, although for some reason, and algoriters, find me your uncle and, you know, at the rich one, and I will take a chance at this. But like, I've never found people who want to like put me in a lifestyle that I've been accustomed. I live a good lifestyle because I always pay for it. But if somebody is providing for someone's lifestyle and have made promises to them, like, all you have to do is love me and I'll take care of you, then I do think that should be factored in if it doesn't work out.
That's garbage.
I think it should. But
everybody knows that. Everybody knows that you are ride or die until you're not.
That's it.
You're in love until you're not.
That's it.
Or you never work.
Let me tell you. This would be an exception for me. An exception for me would be if a millionaire guy went out here, he had babies with the woman, she was at home taking care of the house.
Completely different.
He was taking care of everything on that side. He was taking care of everything financially. I think the courts can look and say, okay, you know, this woman clearly can't start a new career right away.
Gave up her career.
Right. She gave up a career. She invested in him. She should get some type of equity.
All fair.
But if you are making decent money and you don't have any kids with him, you're only with him for 5 months.
You're not getting anything.
Come on, Shaitan.
I mean, the duration of this will be factored in once the divorce is final. Like I said, this is temporary alimony that's designed for the litigation. But as the divorce proceedings go through, there will be an analysis of what you're talking about. What did she do to contribute to the household? And there's a whole list of factors, right? And what did she do? What did she give up as a result of them being together?
Nothing.
You know, did she? I don't know.
What can you give up in 5 months? What can you give up in 5 months?
She may have gone on vacation with him instead of going on Love and Hip Hop. I mean, if she has documented losses, I think those should be.
That's her own volition.
However,
she didn't have to go. I invited her to the Bahamas. She said yes. She could have said, "I got to work. I can't go." She didn't complain on the first
have to worry about working anymore, baby, because you're with me. But I do think that the court, if you get a good judge, they should look for evidence of that kind of thing. Were there promises made, right? Did people actually give up?
Everybody makes promise of passion
The whole time.
I'm not
Everybody
talking about
makes
promises of passion. I'm talking about, as Attorney Carter was saying before, right? He has a marriage where everything's equal, and his wife has never worked. Now, granted, it's been a long time, but there are situations where you can tell based on how the parties lived that there were promises made for a certain lifestyle. And I think those should be factored in. But in situations where both parties worked like they did here, right? I think they have to dig a little deeper, because I actually don't think it's equitable at all if one person made a decision to work a job that paid them a certain amount, irrespective, to your point, Brian, of what the other person was doing. And then once they break up, they're like, oh, you know what? I really liked living in a big house, and so you should pay me so I can keep living in a big house, even though I don't want to work hard. I do
definitely
think
not after 5 months. Abby NYC, the MM family says, Brian, you're asking for fire.
I'm going to be real quiet on this. I've learned 2 things on this show since I started. 1, I'm so glad I'm married because I can't fly girls out no more like Diddy. 2, I owe chicks about 15 Rolexes, because that's how many Rolexes I promised my whole life. Girl, I'm gonna get you a Rolex.
That's how you got the date.
That's how I got the date. What's up, baby? Rolex. I promise you, stick with me, get you that Rolex.
Daniel
Rolex.
It was that voice. Now, you guys have been talking about situations that I get, but you're talking about rational people. Let me explain to you how these two got together. Right? And remember, they got together and got married last September. The month after, he announced he had a baby with another woman. That baby was born in August. Now, you marry a man who had a baby with another woman the month before. That's not even a love triangle. That's a love parallelogram, because ain't nobody really coming together on this. Are y'all ridiculous?
That's hilarious.
I know somebody living that life.
Exactly. Then 5 months later, they have this incident. I don't know who did what, but I wouldn't be surprised if you married a fool, because you knew you had a fool in August. All right. And then you expect him to take care of you. He didn't take care of his own baby. All right.
It sounds like they got married for a storyline.
I'm sure they did. So maybe she is getting a lot of money for that show. I don't know, but I do know that what should be the rule is, all right, this should be a law. Nobody on Love and Hip Hop can get married anymore.
Oh yeah.
I looked this up. We had 4. Everybody on that show has been divorced. Karlie Redd, by the way, this is her second bad husband.
Run of the radio. Yeah,
that's sad.
All right, Colette Davis says, shout out to Shaitan. She's handling the fellas tonight.
Yes, man.
Thanks, Colette.
I'm done. Women, all y'all have to do is just like stick together, right? Brenda O said, marriage has become a 401k plan. You're right. Danielle Cameron says, might have said, I need my Tussie Cat every hour on the hour.
Off the chain. Off the chain.
At 50, I don't think he's.
Oh, Danielle said something funny up here too. She said that if she were me, she would quit. If I'm you, I'm quitting my job, because I'll be damned if he gets 2 coins from me.
Christine R says, me and my Tussie Cat want to know where Attorney Weiss is tonight.
Unbelievable. Yo. Weiss, if you're watching this, you got a big shout out, dude.
Rakia Shaw says Attorney Ross is back. All right, everybody, let's keep it moving. Next up, they don't have any kids, right?
No, fortunately, well, they got kids, but fortunately not with each other.
Okay, next up. This freak off stuff just keeps getting worse. Sean Diddy Combs, once hailed as the king of black excellence, is now facing claims darker than any scandal he's seen before. A woman alleges Diddy orchestrated an assault at one of his infamous freak off parties with some of the biggest names in the game allegedly in attendance, i.e. Jay-Z, Beyoncé, and yes, the GOAT, LeBron James. All right, I'm going to throw to you, Brian Ross. All right, break this case down to me. And at this point, is anybody getting Diddy cases fatigue. Like, I don't know whether to believe him or not to believe him, because people throw these crazy accusations out there, and then the next thing we hear was that they weren't researched, and it's dismissed. Does that have any effect on what he's being charged with right now?
No, because every claim is treated by itself. If you're asking me if we're having Diddy fatigue, yeah. Every day or every month, there's a new victim. Right or wrong, there's a new one. And it's either horrific or it's horrific, right? Either way it goes. If you're this scandalous to do this for money, horrific. If it's in fact true, horrific. And this one is equally as horrific either way. So the man's name is Joseph Manzaro.
It's a guy?
It's a guy. It's a guy.
Wow.
And it's always a Florida man, right? Like, why?
Florida people are freaks.
How they're freaks, aren't they? Aren't they, Judge? Yeah. How come he's never from Utah? A Utah man, right?
Hey, Johnny, no freaks in Nebraska.
You know, right? Right.
So what's going on in this case?
He was allegedly flown in from somewhere.
Wow.
I don't know what that's about. Drugged and then taken to Diddy's house. Wait for this, through the back door of a home allegedly owned by Gloria and Emilio Estefan.
Now, didn't Diddy rent that at one time for a party? I remember that.
Yes.
I think I went to that one.
We were there.
What year was that?
2015.
Yeah.
We were there with friends at a party. Not sure it was this party. This was for his son, Christian. And Diddy was mad at this man who was allegedly a sex worker. So he had some device that could fit over your head like a helmet or a mask that was a big penis. And he strapped the penis on the man's face and made him parade around the party like that, according to the complaint. People began to ask questions and say, what's happening? The man went downstairs in some room, and Beyonce and Jay-Z were there, and they questioned it, according to the complaint. And LeBron James walked by and goes, you better take that off his head. To that matter of fact, he questioned it. And then Emilio Estefan and Gloria saw it. And Gloria said, I'm going to call the police. And Emilio said, step back, and told her to shh.
What?
That's according to him.
This is juicy.
Well, and she said that they didn't have any parties at that house during that time frame, and that she's got proof. So that's what their statement has been, is that over, I don't know, a 3-year period or whatever the time it was.
I have gone to parties at her house.
No, during the time frame. She's not never hosted.
They own more than one house. They weren't living in that one. They have another one. But
Gloria.
I heard Diddy rented that house for a while. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
he wasn't there during that time period.
They definitely rented the house. But this is the other deal. Gloria Estefan has a very pristine image in the state of Florida and in Miami. She does a lot of charitable work. She doesn't want her name anywhere in any of this.
It's disgusting to her.
Right. And she makes it known what's disgusting. Like, she doesn't even like certain rap lyrics. Right. So I can see her not being honest about this.
Now, we're just going to pretend like this story is all plausible and makes any sense, right? This is a crazy story, even for a Diddy story. Let me tell you about it. For instance, this guy, I couldn't find out anything about him other than a couple of lawsuits he filed, which is kind of interesting. That's the only public record we have. So he's not a music mogul. He's not an aspiring rapper, whatever.
No, he's a sex worker.
Okay, fair enough. He says that I get pulled into Diddy's house, then they move me to Gloria Estefan's house, that the Jay-Z, Beyonce is there. Beyonce is somehow just chilling in the middle of this. Like, oh yeah, there's a guy with a penis on his head. You understand that that's not Bey, all right? Bey, first of all, doesn't talk to nobody unless you pay her. All right, you know that. All right, Bey ain't talking to nobody for free. So she definitely can talk to the dickhead guy, all right, for free. He says LeBron is running around in a towel. By the way, I love that. Right here, he's just wearing a towel. He's like, hey, get that off his head. Now, here's the thing that's interesting is, because I looked this up, all right? Let me tell you where LeBron was in April of 2015 when he was playing for the Cavs. On April 2nd, he was in Cleveland In April 5th, he was playing a game in Cleveland. April 8th in Milwaukee. 10th, 12th, 13th, 15th, 19th, 21st, 23rd, 26th. Nowhere near Miami. Okay? This is the thing that bothers me about this. The attorney who files this, all he had to do was go to Google, ChatGPT, one search and say, where was LeBron in April? We know exactly where LeBron was because he was on goddamn TV. All right? This is ridiculous. All right? How are we going to be out there in a tie with Diddy and scoring 83 points, all right, against the Milwaukee Bucks at the same time? All right? This is the kind of thing that it makes me wonder who the hell is behind this? Because I can't understand the lawyer who files this because he filed a contingency fee case, and his contingency, he going to get 30% of zero. And he also going to get a bar complaint because Jay-Z don't play that. And I don't think LeBron's lawyer is going to pay that either.
Party, so. Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah. Hey, turn around and vibe. And Bron, me, when this is done, we're going to drink a couple of bottles of the most premium wine.
Oh, please. He was there. Oh, he was there.
I do have to say this. And Brian can attest to this. Now, we have gone to quite a few parties in Miami where those guys, after a game, will jump on their jet. And if it's a hot enough party, they'll go down, they'll party for the night.
They'll make it back.
Get some, you know what, and then they'll jump back on the plane because they got
same night.
Yep, and like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and get back to where they are. Now,
he also, in the complaint, he also names Diddy's, what we call him, baby oil man. All right, this is the guy who's been convicted for bringing drugs in, helping Diddy with his drugs, and says that he names him personally in the complaint. Says you're a defendant, you're the one who drugged me, and that might have been true if that man wasn't 16 years old at the time, living in Cleveland.
I don't know. I'm shocked. Diddy had
a 16-year-old from Cleveland.
And you got to remember, this party was for his son.
Right, so he he hired a 16-year-old to be his drug man. If you're a multimillionaire, I got kids.
Yes.
All right, I don't trust my 30-year-old, all right, to be my drug man. All right, because he gonna snitch. I know he gonna snitch if he get caught. I ain't no way I'm gonna trust a 16-year-old. It's crazy.
I don't know. I think you have to. I really have to think about that because they're so clever. Maybe they chose a 16-year-old because the 16-year-old can be charged as an adult. If they get caught, like you got to really think how these.
I'm gonna go to Cleveland to find a 16-year-old to sell to lace my baby oil bottles.
The one thing about his complaint that has holes in it, Shaitan, is that he accuses Jay-Z of being there. Correctly, that's what we all talked about. It's verifiable that Jay-Z was in New York doing work for Tidal on that date and time. There's witnesses. He was doing an event. He was taking pictures.
Remember, he's a multi-billionaire. He flew, and he flew so fast his plane flew. They couldn't even see it, and he flew out there. Right? It's ridiculous.
This is what I'm talking about. Like this just seems to me, it really because of all these crazy cases with these insane allegations. To me, it's really making me question whether Diddy is as bad as people are saying, or if he's being targeted. And I'm wondering, will that have any effect on the jury as they go into this case next month or this month?
I think that Diddy is bad and he's being targeted. I think he's being targeted because he's done a lot of stuff that has a pattern. And people are trying to get caught up and they're not being careful. That's what I think. Because, I mean, as you know, you don't have to tell us because you don't want to say it on the show, but I'm sure y'all saw some things at the Diddy party.
I'll say it on the show. I saw nothing. I saw nothing. I stayed out. No. Let me be verified. Let me say this right now. I stayed out by the pool. I was out by the pool. I had a
cigar. You never saw anything.
That's a true story. I got witnesses. I did not go inside.
That's your story, and you're sticking to it, Attorney.
I had to give him my phone. I was like, I'm good. I stayed outside.
And we see this happen a lot. Like, for instance, remember Cosby? All right, all these women came forward, and when more than one woman comes forward with the same story, you can pretty much believe it. But there were like 50 women.
Yes.
I'm guessing that number 42 didn't really know Cosby. But guess what? Cosby did this so often, he don't know what he did. And so the idea is like you're just gonna start paying people out because you know you did a lot, right? And so you were spiking those pudding pops, and as a result, this kind of thing, this is the kind of thing that happens. And so you always have at the end of these lawsuits a number of people coming at the end trying to get their money, right?
Well,
because they think it's free money.
To be honest with you, I knew because how a regular party of his attracts so many celebrities that ends up transitioning to probably something a little bit more, egregious or nastier. I knew they were going to drag these big names in because if you've ever gone to a Diddy party, you do see these people at these parties.
Right.
You cannot deny that you did not see these people at these parties. And these people can't deny that they haven't been to a Diddy party because it was the parties to be at. Now, were they at the freak parties? That's a different story. But you know for a fact that if you ever gone to a Diddy party, you've seen Bay, you've seen Jay-Z, you've seen LeBron, you've seen the biggest stars, you've seen them white, black, Spanish, all of them were there. He at one point, anybody he called would pick up the phone for him.
When you said that, Al, I was thinking, what's that line? Black, white, Puerto Rican, and Haitian. Like that's what I was thinking about.
And polka dotted, whatever it is.
But the thing is that to your point, you have two factors that I think are playing out in these recent complaints. You have what you describe about what everybody knew was happening, or all of the vibe with all the celebrities at the party.
Right.
So that gives them potentially access. And then the other thing that we know from the other cases that we talked about before is that the baby oil was liberally being applied everywhere, this lace baby oil. And so what they're trying to do is to say, you could not, unless you're Attorney Ross sitting by the pool with a cigar, be at a Diddy party and not know because it was just debauchery, right? It was like Sodom and Gomorrah. It was
the freak parties, not a Diddy party, but the freak party.
No, but they're trying to paint the picture that they were all freak offs.
Oh, right, exactly. That is what they're trying
to do. Yeah,
do.
that's what they're trying to do. And so if Jay-Z and Beyonce were always around, then now they have to do what Attorney Ross indicated. Look at their calendar, find this proof. But there's going to be a time when they can't verify where they were on one day. And that's when somebody will be like, that's because they were with me and I had a penis on my head and they bent me over in the back and they put some baby oil on me.
So Attorney Ross, was he sexually assaulted or was he just humiliated?
Yeah, without a doubt. That's absolutely sexual assault.
What did the complaint say?
The complaint said that he was sexually assaulted. The complaint also says that it embarrassed him to the point where he couldn't sleep, he couldn't eat, et cetera, et cetera. So he's alleging. Oh,
please, he's a sex worker. He's been through worse. Okay, tell me this. You couldn't sleep. You couldn't sleep after walking around with a penis on your head. How about when you used to have to use that penis on the people that you didn't want to use that penis on for a little bit of change? That's what made you not sleep.
Listen.
I know a little bit about that. I'm just saying, think about it, Attorney Ross. Where was the sexual assault?
The sexual assault is putting a penis on your head. Well, actually, the sexual assault is drugging you to the house with sexual intentions, putting a penis on your head. So that's about as close as you're going to get from the facts we have right now.
And unwanted touching.
Yeah, touching it.
That wasn't.
Everybody's trying to get their $2.50 off of this man. It's insane.
Well, and it makes sense, but here's the thing I don't get is why would you name so many other celebrities who could possibly have alibis that are going to ruin your story? There's no reason. He's not suing LeBron. There's no reason to throw LeBron in there other than to disprove your case.
No. You put all those names in the complaint so that it gets traction and publicity.
Fair enough.
The seriousness is elevated. That's why all of them are using this. That's why
I'm losing the case, but he will get
an interview. Like he might want his 15 minutes and be like, you know what? I'm not a calendar person. I told y'all I was drugged. You know, I'm not sure exactly what day it was, but what I do know is that they made me put a penis on my head, walked me around, put some baby oil on me, and took me back and bent me over and did all kinds of things to me.
All right.
What I do know is that I was 16 years old, living out of state, and my mama didn't know I was in Miami. And look, here's the ticket that said I went, right? And this
That's
is where
verifiable. That's
So-
verifiable.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
The airplane records would show a lot.
Oh, yeah. All of
No,
that.
and by the way, the 16-year-old was not the victim. 16-year-old's a guy, he says, who was doing the baby oil, who was Diddy's baby oil man, right? So he's a grown man at the
I wonder
time.
if that 16-year-old knew what he was really doing.
No,
Let me
I'm
ask
saying-
you
so I'm saying
guys
is- go
this
ahead.
question. If celebrities that were there, okay, let me just think out loud. If the celebrities that were there and they witnessed this, that Diddy had him doing that, can they be held responsible legally for not speaking up?
So do they have a duty, right? Does
Yes.
Forget the celebrity, anybody actually, in my position, if there was a person there working as a bartender or a server or a security person, they likely were in the house who had security. They had a higher burden to report this behavior than me and you just walking in not knowing what's going on.
Gotcha.
I would say that, yeah, there could be a duty in that room. Is it by a celebrity? Not necessarily, because they're considered what's called an invitee. Now, they saw this person bleeding or saw them being harmed, maybe. Just walking around, unfortunately.
But not if you're an invitee.
Well, just walking around with a penis helmet on your head at Diddy's
I would have
party.
never. I would be like, this is it.
that was
Yeah, if he says,
There's always
help me,
something going-
help
there's-
me,
yeah.
help me. He's
Yeah, if he
abusing
said
me.
help me, that'd
That's
be a
different.
different story.
Just walking around like,
But he always had some type of antic going on in all his parties.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
always
That's the
something.
thing. I just thought that was part of the show.
Yeah, I mean, he's had flamingos, he has naked women, he has belly dancers,
little people.
little
You always have to raise the stakes, and so I just decided to raise the stakes with somebody putting a penis on their head because nobody has seen that before.
Okay, Shaitan.
I tell you what, though.
All right,
I'm not-
algoriters, hit that like button. What a fun show tonight. Also, be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you already subscribed, be sure to hit the share button. Invite people over to this fuckery we got going on in this courtroom. Don't forget to turn on your notifications. And as always, we love it when you jump down into the chat. Last up, Atlanta rapper Young Scooter. Murder has rocked the city. And now there's a movement. A 911 caller dropped a dime, leading police to a key suspect. The community cried for justice, and finally, someone picked up the phone. All right, Attorney Brian, are you up on this case, or should we go to Attorney Carter to tell us the details?
Let Attorney Carter lead on this one.
All right, Attorney Carter, lead on this and tell us all the background, because there's so many moving parts to this. But before we do that, this is the picture. So the young lady in the middle.
The situation is that I was being beaten by an individual that was connected to the person that I'm not going to say the name. And I was there, and the person was continuously beating me. Individual, there's a reaction for every action. This is part A. You guys didn't have part A. You guys only have part B. And the narrative, it looks like I was trying to set this man up because you guys don't have part B. I'm giving you part B. I'm giving you what led up to the call. I was physically abused, so I called to protect myself. That's the issue. That's part A. I never had any intentions to get anybody hurt.
So, Attorney Carter, that is Demi, Attorney Carter. That's Demi saying that she was beaten.
Right, exactly. But here's the thing is, so she calls 911 and asked her for her name. She says, she wouldn't give her name. She said she was neighborhood watch. And then this is what she says exactly. The situation is going on right now. This girl doesn't have any clothes. They threw her outside. He was fighting with the girl. It sounded like they were fighting over drugs. The house needs to be investigated. They're doing illegal stuff over there, right? He's beaten her bloody. He's dragged her back in the house. So she's refusing to let her out. A child is in danger as well, okay? She says in her account, the video we just saw,
What she's seeing.
that she's the victim. And now when she calls the police, she's reporting this as neighborhood watch.
Got it. Watching it. So
And it sounds a lot like she's saying all the things that, by the way, they'll get the police there quickly, like there's a child in danger, right? So the police show up, and this is almost comical. There's nothing going on there, at least from what we have heard so far. So they open the door, there's the cops. They say, oh shit, close the door, and two of them go running out the back door. Now, I don't know what exactly they were running from, but maybe warrants, whatever it was. And allegedly, while I'm not calling a grown-ass man. That man's 39 years old. I ain't calling him young Scooter, all right? Kenneth is jumping over a fence, and Kenneth cuts his leg at the femoral artery and bleeds out before they can get him to the hospital. So that's what they say happened. They're now charging this woman with, at the very least, filing a false alarm. And it could be aggravated to not just a misdemeanor, but to a felony, even to involuntary manslaughter.
How is that?
Somebody died. And I'll give you a great example of this. Remember the swatting cases where someone would call SWAT out and say there's a terrorist going on in there, and then the police would show up, shoot everybody because it's the police. And then they would be like, oops, my bad. I was mad at him over a video game, so I called the police out on him. And those people got 20 years in prison for involuntary manslaughter. So if you file a false police report and someone gets hurt as a result of it, you can get, even by the way, if they don't get hurt by the police, once you call the police out, it's by definition dangerous. And so anything that happens as a result of that, after that, you can be charged. Now, they don't always charge people, fortunately, unfortunately. By the way, I think the thing that's most interesting, and maybe we can get Attorney Turner to comment on this, is the picture you're looking at here. That's not three different people. All right, that's Kenneth and two of the same people. And if you're a guy out there, be careful. All right, because you could go to the club and meet a girl on the right and wake up with one in the middle, and that's probably the real lesson to be learned from the algorithms.
I mean, the one in the middle looked like she'd been through some things. So she
that poor thing. She looks so rough. Poor thing.
So what do we do? How? I don't understand.
I got a different position though, Judge.
Okay.
So a good neighbor Samaritan says she's being beaten. Horrific. We hate it. Police get there. What do they see? Attorney Carter, nothing.
Right, nothing.
Right. But because he's institutionalized, what did he do? He ran out the back door, correct?
We're guessing he just ran out the back door. He and somebody else. Both of them said maybe got drugs on board. They took off running.
And then they ran, and how did he die?
So allegedly, the police say we didn't catch him. He ran and he hopped over a fence, cut his leg, femoral artery, bled out. And there's some question as to whether that's true.
We are waiting on an Emmy report, correct?
Absolutely.
All right. There's an intervening circumstance, right? Intervening. So if she is in fact right in the commission of a felony, right, which making a false police call could be, and a person dies, you can be charged with a thing called felony murder rule, which leads to a longer sentence as opposed to just the felony itself.
Oh, wow.
Sean Carter and I decide to go steal a car. We're going to go take Shatan's brand new Ford Escort. And we're going to take it away.
The shade, Attorney Turner. The shade.
You know I love you. You know I love you.
You just recognizing I got to pay all this damn money. I got to make some lifestyle changes.
Ain't nothing wrong with a Ford Escort to people who are watching. If you drive a car, it's a very fine car. So we decided to go take her car, and in taking her car, we run over a homeless person. Well, in the commission of a felony, which is grand theft, we killed somebody. We are now susceptible to be charged with felony murder rule. That's what. But if there's an intervening circumstance, something happens in between the commission of the felony and then the death, we could be absolved of that. In this instance, the intervening circumstance is that he ran away. If you're doing nothing wrong and the police enter your home, now who knows? They could have looked undercover and he thought it was a burglar, but let's assume that he saw lights, black and whites, and they announce themselves. And he runs away. It's not her fault that he ran away. It's not her fault that he jumped the fence.
But wouldn't it be because she called is the reason why he ran away?
Why would he run? Why would you run? No one told you to run.
Maybe they had a warrant or something. I don't know.
Well, that's an intervening circumstance. Now, if they come in the house and just shoot him and they're wrong, I could see it. But if you run away, why'd you run away? You could have just sat down.
No, well, I'm not sure that legal analysis is right, because I remember in law school we had an example of someone who called the police, and this is the kind of things lawyers do all the time because we look like we look, so we don't really have anything better to do. We don't get invited to Diddy parties like some of y'all. All right, we got to entertain ourselves. And the law school scenario is you call the neighbor, you call the police because you say the neighbor has turkeys that they are weaponized. They put bombs on the turkeys. And the police come out and they throw tear gas. The turkeys run over to the next door neighbor's house where they have goats. The goats then run out into the street. Someone then is driving down the road, veers off to avoid hitting the goats, runs into a water tower. The water tower falls off and lands into a fair and knocks the clown down and kills the clown. You're responsible for that. Not because you could foresee all of those things, but you could foresee that if you call the police out on someone, it's dangerous. And anything that happens after that is dangerous. Now, you're not going to get felony murder. You're not going to get first degree, but you could get manslaughter. And sure enough, I actually looked it up today. There's cases similar to that where people have called the police and end up getting manslaughter because bad things happen when you call.
What I find so interesting, as I learn something every time on this show. What is it called? If you call the police, you are something danger.
It was a false. What was it called? False public alarm.
No, but I'm saying, when you call the police, you automatically, from calling the police, you're in a position of danger, or you create a position.
Yeah, you mean you basically, it's conceivable that if the police come out and you tell them a crime is happening, somebody's getting shot. And if you call them on black people, it's about 98.6%. All right,
don't touch my hot sauce.
Well, especially when you listen to the nature of what she said.
Right.
She kept telling them, you need to get here quickly because she needs your protection. Yeah, if you don't come quickly, he's going to hurt her bad. So there was all of this escalation. So she didn't just call the police and say, come and buy some Girl Scout cookies. She said, come and make sure you're strapped and ready to go because this woman's
situation is that I was being beaten by an individual that was connected to the person that I'm not going to say the name. And I was there, and the person was continuously beating me, as he's already done this before. And me being a female, I was afraid for my life. So I did what I thought was the best thing to do. I had no intentions that man was there. I never set anybody up. I never had any intentions that man was there. I never knew that man was there. I had no idea of that man's whereabouts.
Why is she saying
today to clear my
name? But she makes it very clear that it's young Scooter.
Well, I think she's saying that her argument is that the other guy, the non-Scooter, right, old Scooter, all right, was doing the beat it, and that because basically she understands that people love this from the young Scooter. All right, and so I think she's trying to
like, don't think I was.
Yeah, I didn't try to set up young Scooter. I was trying to set up the other fool. But the problem she has is that her account just isn't consistent. In her account on the video there we saw, she says that she's the victim. In the account she calls the police out, she says she's never watched. She's not even in the house, right? She's outside, and there's a child. That's the thing that really got me. There's a child in danger, and when the police show up and there's no children there, right? They're a little suspicious that maybe she's not telling the truth.
I would have taken her ass in too, honestly. I would have taken her in.
Yeah, you know, honestly, the way you gotta look at it, you gotta take her in and talk to her. You gotta forget.
Yeah, I would have taken her.
But let me ask you something. One thing I'm confused on, Judge, is the third party, the person who said you better come and do something. Who was that exactly?
That was her.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, so she was pretending to be somebody else. She clearly knew the trigger words to use to get the cop to respond faster. Child endangerment, blood, beat, get here fast.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they got there, she's in there. The two young Scooter and the guy, the other assailant, runs out the back door. And in their escape, young Scooter jumps over a fence allegedly and bleeds out.
Yeah,
But nobody knows why she did it. That's where the struggle's coming. Was she just seeking thrills? Was she like it?
Did she have any? I want to know. Did she have any hit marks on her?
That's always
on her face.
Any bruises, cuts, scrapes? That's always the question.
Yeah, I mean, she was claiming that she was bloody, and I'm guessing from the fact that she's been charged that the police
that's what I'm saying. They didn't see anything. Yeah. All right, everybody. This is the time of the show where we go back through the cases and decide if they're guilty or not guilty. Starting with Lil Baby. Attorney Turner, is Lil Baby guilty or not guilty?
Lil Baby is guilty of having a juvenile name as an adult. So everything else just is an indication of bad decisions.
Attorney Carter. Attorney Carter.
He is guilty not only of that, but also of being a rapper who can't talk. All right. I don't know how you're supposed to understand the lyrics of the songs. I can't understand when he's talking.
All right, Attorney Ross.
Lil Baby is not guilty. He's not guilty. He didn't do anything wrong. He just
come on.
Stop being a rapper. Be a regular person. You okay? Be a regular person.
Now tickets.
Go get it.
All right, I'm Al. I'm the gas station. I'm Al. I'm the judge here in Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. And public opinion, we're gonna find Lil Baby guilty. Guilty by association. Sorry, brother. When you start making all this money, having all this influence, you can't be doing this. You can't be having these conversations where people can record you, because it could come back and bite you. That's why you're spilling $1 million now on court for no reason. Next up, Karlie Redd. Is she guilty or not guilty of taking advantage of that TV network? TV executive. Attorney Carter, what say you?
No, she is not guilty of that. She is just guilty of making really bad decisions and being too fine to be that stupid.
She's fine.
Attorney Turner.
She is guilty of exploiting the family law system to her benefit. We all need to work to change it.
Attorney Ross.
I ain't saying she a gold nigga. She ain't never win no broke. She's guilty.
I'm Al, and I'm the judge here at Celebrity Court. Karlie Redd, baby, you are guilty of being a player, honey. You got that man, tied him down, closed the deal in 5 months. After 5 months, you're like, I'm out of here, and you took $18,000 a month. You need to hold a master class. Next up,
that part. What kind of?
I'm just saying, that's a big come up for a 50-year-old, 50-plus-year-old on someone who's 36.
Correct.
She saw that green on that young man, and she was like, I'm going to throw it on him, and I'm going to get him. And guess what? Temporarily, she got him. Next up, Elon Musk. Is he guilty or not guilty for stealing that lady's Tootsie Cat?
Guilty.
Attorney Ross.
Guilty.
All right, Attorney Turner.
I don't know if he's still is guilty of stealing the Tootsie Cat, but he's guilty of tapping the Tootsie Cat.
Attorney
14 kid.
Did we even talk about this case?
We did.
No, keep going. It's fine.
Basically, just so the algorithms know, Elon allegedly got this woman pregnant, gave her $2.5 million, start giving her $500,000 a year. She says that's not enough. All right. And I got to see, if you look at Elon, you know, what's that? Probably $15-20 million probably ain't enough to give him some. I'll give you that. All right. But on the other hand, Elon is guilty of having too much damn money. All right. But he don't even know if it's his baby. They didn't have a test paternity yet. And he just handing out $2.5 million like it's nothing, right? That's when you got too much money.
Got it.
Because, by the way, Tootsie Cat, I heard the last time I was on the market, which is 30 years ago, didn't cost $2.5 million.
It depends on who's owning the Tootsie Cat.
So funny.
I don't care. I don't care if it's the Virgin Mary's Tootsie. It ain't worth $2.5 million.
I'm another judge here at Celebrity Court. We're going to find Elon Musk guilty. Guilty is charged. I mean, honestly, can you imagine when she got the inbox, the DM from him after she DM'd him and he DM'd her back? Can you imagine what's going through her head as she's going to the hotel to meet Elon Musk for a hookup?
You know what she was going through?
Payday.
Like, I'm so glad I've been keeping up with my yoga and my stretching, and I've been stretching out my mouth so that I can impress him in all kinds of ways, because I am in it to win it.
Win it! Can you imagine? She was like, I am here for it all. She didn't care where his you-know-what went. She knows she was going to take it wherever it led.
Pull it up to the hotel playing the theme song from Rocky.
All right, next up, is Diddy guilty or not guilty of humiliating this man by wearing a penis on his head? Attorney Ross, what say you?
He did it. He's guilty. It's sad, man. And LeBron was there too.
Hey, you know it. Attorney Turner.
LeBron was
I'm
there.
actually gonna go not guilty for this one because via Stefan said they don't do it and their house wasn't used for this, and Jay-Z wasn't there and LeBron wasn't there. This story has too many holes in it for me right now. So even though it is Diddy, I'm gonna go with not guilty.
Court of
All right,
public
Attorney
opinion.
Carter.
He is not guilty. And matter of fact, he and his lawyers should have to wear penises on their heads from now on, so we know what kind of dickheads they are. Stop. And by the way, here's the thing: is now you gonna make me defend Diddy. Now I got to go.
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. I'm Al Reynolds and I'm the judge here. Diddy is not guilty. Not guilty, especially if they can prove that two of the biggest names that they used are saying they weren't there. I'm not believing Esteban. Sorry. I've been to them parties. All right, last up, young Scooter. Is Zeus Baddie Demi? Is she guilty or not guilty of calling the police when she shouldn't? Attorney Ross.
So sad. She's guilty in the court of public opinion.
Yep.
So sad.
Attorney Turner.
I mean, she's guilty of having some really good person like beat her face and put her wig in because that is admirable.
Wow.
It's good. She looks good, but she's also guilty of making a call to 911 that she shouldn't have. And we'll see what happens. Unfortunately, young Scooter's dead.
Yeah, that's bad. Attorney Carter.
Put the picture back up, Braylon, because I just want to say this. If I was single and you show me the picture on the right and you show up in the center, you're gonna get beaten. All right.
Unbelievable.
What about natural beauty, Attorney Carter?
Me. But you might have deserved a little bit. All right, you might deserve a little bit.
Man, let me tell you, I don't know what
I'm Al Reynolds and I'm the judge in Celebrity Court. We're gonna find her guilty of catfishing.
I don't know what happens between wake up and lunch, but it's a miracle.
Oh my God, what in the world? I promise you, I think I would be very upset. Also, we're gonna find her guilty of making that false call because that actually cost the life of someone. All right, everybody. Tonight's cases show us that fame may open doors, but it can also open indictments, lawsuits, and legacies unveiling in real time. In each of these stories, there's a recurring theme: power, privilege, and perception. Whether it's a rapper's facing RICO, a billionaire shaping moral standards, or a reality star walking away with a bag, what we're really witnessing is the legal system bending under the weight of celebrity. So I leave you with this. Are celebrities victims of an unbiased justice system or architects of their own downfall? When the court of law says innocent until proven guilty, but the court of public opinion has already rendered its verdict, what do you get? Guilty or not guilty? Which court matters more? Let the debate begin. You've been watching Celebrity Court, where the gavel isn't just symbolic, it's social. Have a good night, everybody. Court is now adjourned. Thank you for joining.